Hey guys, Brandon, welcome to CCM Magazine. Today hanging out with Riley Clemmons. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. So after a couple of years of a little hiatus from new music,
Yes.
we're back. Loved by You, the first song that's already out there.
We're back! It feels so crazy. I mean, the past couple years have gone by so quickly, but it feels so good to be back releasing music again.
All right, so take us inside the song a little bit and maybe tell the story of why it took 2 years to get new music out.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the honest truth is, well, let me start from the beginning. I'll give you the short version of a long story. But essentially, at the beginning of a couple years ago, I was just at a super low point, mental health wise. I was at an all-time low, dealing with a lot of newfound anxiety and depression, and found myself farther from my faith than I'd ever been before. And honestly, I felt a strong nudge from the Lord that the wisest, healthiest thing for me to do was to press the pause button and take a step back and take an extended period away from writing and creating to essentially get quiet with God and get alone with God and get my brain healthy again so I could create from an authentic place. And essentially, Loved by You tells the story of the biggest takeaway from that time away. And ultimately, I think it came 100% down to identity. Regardless of what you do in this world, you know, for me, my journey in the music industry, I think I got really caught up in the performance aspect of, you know, how successful are you and what are you doing and how does it compare to what everybody else is doing and is it enough? And for me, I lost myself a bit in it, and Loved by You feels like coming back to identity as being something that's rooted in my faith and in Jesus.
Was there ever a point during that 2 years where you almost didn't do live shows too? Because you still toured, right?
I did. I was playing a lot of live shows, and you know what? That was a really beautiful outlet to be not only singing and performing, but singing songs I had written over myself and being able to worship and being able to be around people and within the community of Christian music, which is a really beautiful and powerful community. I know you've experienced some of that. But it was, no, I never occurred to me to take a complete step away from live shows. Mostly it was just the writing and creative side.
Got you. So there's another new song that's going to be out here this week.
Yeah.
Miracle.
Miracle.
Tell us a little bit about that one.
Man, this song is so special to me. I mean, so the story behind this one is I posted a little snippet of it to social media. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I certainly was not expecting the reaction it got. For me, I was super inspired to write a love song that was reflective of my faith and this little bit of the story behind it. I think that oftentimes as believers, as people who love and follow Jesus, it's easy to believe that the miracles that we'll experience in this lifetime are, or can exclusively be things like water turn to wine and the parting of a sea. And while I believe with everything in my body that those miracles are real, they've happened before, they happen all the time, and they'll happen again, I believe that it's really easy to miss some of those everyday miracles that God gives us. And from what I've experienced in my life, a lot of those miracles are through people. And so I wanted to write a song that celebrates the people in my life and in other people's lives from what I've seen, that celebrates the people that bring them closer to the love of God and the heart of God.
Love it. So both these tracks going to be on a project later this year sometime. How much can you tell us about that? Can you tell us how many songs to expect?
If I had it my way, I would tell you everything. There would be no secrets left. I don't know if my team would love that, but I'm so excited. Part of that extended period of time away was really dreaming up this next album and dreaming up what comes next. And I think so much of taking that creative space and creative beat to become re-inspired and reconnect with the things that are important to me as this album came together so quickly. I was, you know, praying all the time, and through those prayers was receiving a lot of song ideas and themes that I wanted to talk about and write about. And so this album feels like my DNA in a way that my music has never felt like before to me. So yeah, I mean, it's the difference between, I put my first album out when I had just turned 18, and I'm 23 now, so that's a lot of, those are some big years of learning and growing, and I think the new album reflects that growth.
Is there a song we haven't heard that you just can't wait for people to get to hear?
I mean,
that's just super, super special?
All of them. Every single song on this record was so curated and so selected to tell a part of my story and to convey a message of honesty and hope. And man, I'm trying to think of one, and I'm so excited really for people to hear all of them, but there's a very special song on the record that's actually the record title, called Church Pew. And to me, it's really the thesis statement for the album as a whole. It really comes down to this idea that Jesus is so good, and no matter how broken and full of sin we are, or how beautiful and wonderful we are in our good moments, he's always saving room for us in his house, in his church, on the church pew. And I think that song paints that picture in a really honest way.
Awesome, can't wait to hear it. We talked about your age there and kind of people that have came up in the music industry in these past 10 years like you have. I've kind of set a bar for a lot of musicians out there with social media. Some of these older people feel the pressure and don't really know what they're doing.
Ooh.
You're obviously one of the leaders out there who feel like you have a team at all times capturing content with you. Is there any sort of pressure that you feel sometimes to create that content constantly that takes away from the artistic side of the music business?
You call my team, they'll tell you all about that. I'm the one who's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get off of social media for 6 months, and they're like, hey, are you sure? You know, it's such a gorgeous, wonderful marketing tool and connectivity tool. It's allowed me to connect so deeply with the fans and the people who are listening and the people sharing their stories, which is such a gift. But it's also been one of the most detrimental things in the world to my mental health. So I've found that my social media feels more authentic when I'm setting healthier boundaries with it. So over that time of being away and dreaming up the new record, a big part of it was limiting social media. But I'm back, baby! I'm back! And it's been so much fun to get to share little clips of the new album and the new music. So that's kind of you to say that. I'm really just sharing whatever we happen to grab in its most authentic form, and that makes me happy. Yeah, I love connecting.
It's the musicians that are your age that kind of ruined it for all the musicians my age. They have to do social media now.
Oh my! See, I feel
young kids ruined it for us.
I feel the same way about anybody any younger than me. I'm like, can y'all relax? Let's just release the music and let it happen. But no, I'm very grateful for all of social media.
Yeah. So you talk about like the depression and stuff there. What's some advice you give some people who are battling that? Because I mean, I think these past few years we've all experienced it in some form. What kind of helped you get you over that hill?
I mean, honestly, setting healthier boundaries for myself, and I understand that it's not always super easy for people to create extended period of time away from maybe the thing that's causing a lot of stress or angst. So the advice that I would give, just based on my journey of healing and becoming healthier, would be going back to identity. I think if we're honest, a lot of the common mental health battles that we see in our society today are rooted from the culture we live in, obviously, but I think a lot of it is the performance culture of, you know, what's your productivity level? What are you doing? How successful are you? How does it compare to what you're seeing online? How does it compare to what everybody else is doing? Blah, blah, a ton, inundated constantly with voices and ideas of what you should be doing. I think the thing that changed my life was simplifying and coming back to the basics of where do I find identity? Where does it come from in the first place? And once I started stripping back those layers, I was able to see that honestly a lot of the mental health battles I was going through were coming from allowing things outside of my faith and Jesus to determine what my self-worth and identity were rooted in. And so I would just encourage everybody to surround yourself with good community and take the time to peel back those layers.
Nice. Big fall coming up for you. You got the album and then also a pretty big tour going out with Zach Williams. How pumped are you for that?
Man!
That one's going to be fun every night.
I'm stoked. I mean, I'm a Zach Williams fan, and so is my whole family. They were so excited when I booked this tour, but it's going to be great. I mean, we're going to play almost the new album in its entirety.
Wow.
As much as we can squeeze in there, but we're playing a ton of new music, the ones that people will know, but I'm so excited to just I believe this tour, this set, what people will see at the show will be very reflective of the new season, a new era we're stepping into.
And if everything stays on schedule, they'll have that album in their hands by the time that tour happens, right?
They will have the album. We're not flipping scheduling. I see you're going to have it in your hands. Don't worry about it.
All right, well, you guys be on the lookout for the pre-save for the new album and go catch her on the Zach Williams tour. And a few other dates before then. You can find it all out at RileyClemmons.com.